What's up, YouTube? It's Heretic here, and welcome back as we head into Week 3 of the Regional Championships this spring for the 2016 season, closing in on Nationals and then Worlds. And I still find myself in need of 15 more points, so a top 64 Regionals this weekend at Kansas City would do the trick. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about a deck in expanded format with Fates Collide introduced, and what deck better to pick than my personal favorite, and that is Archie's Blastoise. And although I haven't played this deck since the fall, I think this got a really nice new piece in Fates Collide, and that is Energy Pouch. And it's a Pokemon tool that allows you to return all basic energy attached to a Pokemon to your hand when that Pokemon is knocked out by the damage from your opponent's attack. Now, this means, as you guys can probably figure, a 7 energy Keldeo or whatever you got, the energy just comes right back to your hand. You throw it on the next one. So it's pretty simple. It essentially acts as an alternative to more superior energy retrievals and lets us be a little more reckless with our compressors and retrievals. The rest of the skeleton is pretty similar. We've got a couple of different techs now. I used to play 2 Articuno at one point. I've gone down to 1 because Night March isn't really... I mean, it does exist in Expanded, but it's not quite as huge, and less Vespiquen seeing play due to the presence of decks like Sableye, and the dominance of other decks like Raichu Eels have caused Articuno to be a little less useful than it had been before, since it doesn't quite deal with Raichu. So in its place, I've added a Suicune, and let me go ahead and explain this one real quick. Has nothing to do with its attack. This is, I mean, it can certainly use that attack, but this is all about the ability Wind Charm, which states that as long as Suicune is your active Pokemon, you prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to each of your Pokemon. This is largely a Trevenant counter, and that's because Trevenant breaks Silent Fear attack, which is the attack they'll be using probably at least 90% of the time once they get set up, places damage counters on each Pokemon as opposed to dealing damage. This is an effective in attack, meaning that this effect would only be applied onto Suicune itself, meaning that it would need 4 turns, or even if they decide to use Tree Slam to where they can attack you, it is a 2-turn knockout, and they would accumulate a grand total of 80 damage on your bench. Of course, you have Rough Seas here as well to deal with that, so I feel like the inclusion of Suicune and Rough Seas really just for the Trevenant matchup. Otherwise, I would probably still run Parallel City, which is another viable stadium option for this deck, given that we run 2 Jirachis and 2 Shaymins. But Suicune really just there for Trevenant so that we can manually charge up a Keldeo-EX and start wailing away with it. And once that happens, we can probably just cruise to victory, even without our Blastoise. So, just kind of a nice little piece to have. I considered fitting in a Manaphy EX in here also, just because you could probably drop the Float Stone then, but we don't want Hex Maniac to cripple us any more than it already does, and let's face it, it really does. So we have 3 Keldeo-EX, our primary attackers, 2 Executes, 2 Jirachis, 2 Shaymins, all pretty standard. I also run 1 Mega Gyarados. And this is because Blastoise we're already running the Archie's engine to get Blastoise out first turn as consistently as possible. So why not add 1 more Archie target, since it actually does serve a pretty valiant purpose here, actually more than 1. And the first one I'd like to point out is that Mega Gyarados is much more capable of taking out huge threats like Primal Groudon, or Mega Rayquaza, or anything just absolutely enormous where you would need to stack, like, say, 9 or 10 energies onto a Keldeo in order to get that knockout. We can do that with 5 or 6 energies on a Gyarados. And he's also got a big 240 HP, a lot more than Keldeo, obviously, 70 more. He's also weak to Lightning, so if you're going against Vespiquen, he can probably take a second hit, whereas your Keldeo is going to go down like there's no tomorrow. Of course, you can also use Articuno against the Flareon to get an easy 2-prize KO there. So really just some kind of interesting things. Blast Geyser, Mega Gyarados' attack, the exact same thing pretty much as Secret Sword, only to do the extra damage you have to discard 2 cards off the top of your deck, and it does 70 more damage but requires 4 energy for a minimum. Otherwise, all in all, it's really the same attack. Most of the time you're going to stack 4+ energies on a Keldeo anyway, so that's pretty much irrelevant. Discarding 2 cards isn't too big of a deal most of the time, so really it's just you're using Archie to get out a bigger body with more damage output, and thus is capable of taking out a lot bigger attackers. You can also one-shot Wailord with this guy. So, yeah, he's Mega Gyarados. He's pretty beefy. Like I said, 2 energy pouches. We dropped the muscle band. Just assume we've got more energy to work with now since pouch can return into our hand. Rough Seas was reintroduced into this list because of Trevenant, much like the introduction of Suicune. Everything else is pretty standard. I mean, computer search, 4 copies of Acrobike, Battle Compressor, Superior, Trainer's Mail, Ultra Ball, VS Seeker, the Float Stone for Keldeo, and then 2 Sycamores, an N, a Lysander, 2 Archie's Ace in the hole. So that's the whole thing. 11 water energies, really at the end there. Oops, my bad. Yeah, that's Archie's Blastoise, kind of updated with Fates Collide. And we're going to go ahead and play a couple of games here and see how it does. Alrighty, so we are going against NR485 Heatran. And he's got a Boston Pikachu coin. We're going second. Unless he's playing like Night March or something. But even then, I think sometimes they choose to go first, especially in Expanded. So we're going to open up, and our hand kind of sucks. But that said, we've got 2 compressors, and we might be able to reach with that Trainer's Mail. We do actually have a turn 1 Blastoise here, although it may involve benching and failing 2 Jirachi searches. Oh, man. But I don't think I'm going to be looking to draw any mulligans here, despite the fact that we're going to see some stuff. Okay, so we've got, it looks like some kind of a lockdown deck, maybe like a Seismitoad or Lightning. Hopefully that's not a Vileplume, because that would screw us up pretty darn well. I also noticed the lightning energy, kind of interesting. So we are going to opt against our Moldra, and he's going to flip over a Seismitoad. Okay. So I guess I'm glad to see that and see that we're looking at a Toad and not a, just lost my train of thought there for a second, Vileplume. I'd much rather deal with Seismitoad, let's face it. And so we're actually going to lose our perfect first hand now, because our opponent's going to play a Judge. Interesting card to see in Expanded format, to say the least. So we're going to draw a decent hand, I guess, here. So this Toad's got a double colorless, and it's got a Rock Guard, and we are so close to having that Archie's play here. This VS Seeker is kind of messing us up right now. So we can go ahead and lay the Suicune down and play the Battle Compressor. In this case, I think I want to draw the cards first, because I don't know if we're going to get stuck having to play a Superior or something here. Okay. So we're riding on this right here. And, okay, so we are going to hit a Superior here. So this is why we did not play the Compressor yet, because the Superior can discard the VS Seeker and the Water Energy, but we will need to compress a Water Energy to do that. So we can go ahead and grab the Superior here. Then we can compress Blastoise and a Superior, and a Water Energy. And we're going to go ahead and drop the Gyarados while we're at it. And we'll have to drop one of those Water Energies. Now we can go ahead and just drop these 2. And okay, yeah. I was looking at that like, why is it saying there's 2? It's like, oh yeah, because we just put one in there, but we don't have to grab that one. Okay, so we can do that, and then we can go ahead and attach. Looks like, we'll just go ahead and we'll put the energy pouch there, since we're going to end up needing it there anyway. So we'll attach the energy, and we will play Archie's Ace in the hole and bring Blastoise out onto the bench on the first turn, just the way we want to do it. And we're actually going to get some pretty good plays here, it looks like. We're going to Deluge a couple of energies, and we're not going to knock out Seismitoad. We're gonna hit into that Rock Guard for a bunch of damage, though. We're going to take a bunch of damage in return. But we've got a pretty solid kind of thing going on here. So we can go ahead and Shaman for 4 cards. Maybe we get a Keldeo. There we go. Okay, so we'll Acrobike here. And we hit 2 Acrobikes, so we'll just obviously grab one and go ahead and keep playing them, since we're going to be entirely unable to play our item cards here pretty soon. So we can do a Reach here. And let's see, what do we have? I don't think we have much in terms of supporters besides Archie's. We do have Jirachi that can search for us. So I think we're going to take the Lysander here. Oh man, that's tough. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take the Lysander. And we can throw Keldeo down on the bench along with the energy pouch. And then we're going to go ahead and do a Tri-Edge here. Just try to land some damage. And we're going to hit 2 heads. So we're going to do 100 damage. We're going to take 60 back from that rock guard. But we get a decent amount of damage down in a situation where we could do something. Maybe even knock him out if we were to hit 2 heads again next turn. Although we would be KO'd as well. So we see him discard a couple of Golbats and an N with the Professor Sycamore. 2 Zubats come down. Now, of course, if he knocks us out with a Hypnotoxic Laser here, the pouch won't take effect, and we'll end up pretty much being SOL, having to bring probably Suicune up at least until Rush-In becomes a thing with Keldeo. But we should be able to get a knockout next turn on that Seismitoad. So we're going to see a Super Scoop Up, so he's going to try to get it off the board. Nice thing to see, he got Tails there, so we'll see a Quaking Punch for 30. So he's going to leave Articuno there. Now we draw into an N, which might not be a bad play here. Granted, the Lysander is... Okay, he's just going to forfeit. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and do another one. Alright, so we're going against a Dark deck here. And we're going to go ahead and try to get Lugia to let us go first. And that is going to work out. I would love to go first. So we're going to go ahead and draw our hand. And we're going to have a mulligan, which really sucks because that was a good hand. You know, we're a Battle Compressor away from a God hand there. Or a Water Energy, realistically. So we could just discard that with Ultra Ball, get the Blastoise, and pitch that with the Superior. 2 VS Seekers and a Lysander. Not too sure how I feel about that, though. I think I'd rather have the Compressor. So our opponent's going to take his sweet time picking a basic. Might have laggy server connection here. That tends to happen a lot with this game. Okay, so he's going to start with 3 Pokemon on the board. Wow. Alright. We'll go ahead and send our hand back and... Alrighty, well, kind of sucks to have a Superior, but on the bright side, maybe that can be enough to give us what we need here. So we're going to go ahead and lead the Keldeo, and he'll get an extra card here, and then flip over 3 Dark Pokemon, since it looked like that was his only type emblem. So now I gotta wait for him to draw his extra card here. Slowly, heart of the cards, people. Okay, now the Milotic on my sleeve, the Milotics on my sleeves are starting to get impatient, dude. Come on, there you go. All right, so we see 2 Promo Darkrai, and we see an Yveltal. So, okay, that Ultra Ball actually just improved our hand a lot. Now, the big card we need to get out of our hand is Professor Sycamore. We can also get rid of the Shaman because we really don't need it, but the big card we need to get out of here is Sycamore, and I mean that's Superior. Let's just face it, we're probably just going to throw everything here. So we're going to compress. Let's get a Stoice out of here right away. Let's get the Gyarados while we're at it. Definitely prefer not to have that. Okay, so we got 1 Blastoise in the deck, but that is all we need. Let's make sure we have an Archie while we're at it here. Okay, we got both our Archies. So we're going to let one of the energies go so we can Superior if necessary here. And then we're going to let both of the eggs go too. And I think we can go ahead and get... Let's see, we don't have a VS Seeker, so we are going to have to do this the Jirachi way. So let's go ahead and... Let's see, we don't have another Stoice to discard here. So let's go ahead and put the Lysander down there. Now we can do... Let's see. We can go ahead and propagate one of these eggs. And then we can Ultra Ball here and throw these 2 away. And that's going to get us a Jirachi. Now we've still got to discard that Sycamore. So we're only going to propagate once here. Could have realistically just propagated twice for one of these and 0 times for the other, but it's whatever. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to get our 1 energy back. Go ahead and throw that on Keldeo. He can have a Float Stone, and then we're going to search for Archie's Ace in the hole. Go ahead and grab that out of the deck. Now there's not, the second Sycamore is not in the deck, we noticed there. But we've got the one in the discard pile, which is good enough for now. So we'll go ahead and bring the Blastoise out. And, okay, so we get a decent setup here. Looks like we can just go ahead and play a couple of propagations here and see if we can't actually set this thing up and just bring the Gyarados out, because that's a lot bigger body. So we're going to do that. Throw those away. And we can, let's see, what do we have? Ugh, got another Superior. That sucks. We can go ahead and try to grab a Shaman, I guess. And we don't have any energy in there, so let's just go ahead and drop 3. And then we'll go ahead and draw 3 as well. First turn shenanigans, gotta love them. Okay, now we do end up hitting an Archie's Ace in the hole here, so we could try to charge up Keldeo here and then go for a Gyarados play on our next turn here. Kind of liking that idea right now. We'd be mortgaging a pair of VS Seekers to do it, but I don't think that's the worst problem right now. Okay, we're definitely going to take the energy here because the extra supporter is going to make our hand really bad. So we can go ahead and deluge some energy onto here. And we can go ahead and just throw both of those on there. And let's see. I really don't want to give him too many prizes, so we're actually going to give him a much smaller target to attack. And force a Lysander if he wants to hit something bigger. And I think with that, we're going to go ahead and pass the turn. And the other benefit here is if he were to Getsus us, he would leave us with Archie's Ace in the hole in our hand. So unless our top deck were to screw us over, we would still have the Mega Gyarados. So lots of things right now are going our way. And we've got 3 energies sitting in the discard ready for superior energy retrieval. And maybe we get that Gyarados out and get like an energy pouch on it or something and just start flying away with it. Kind of make up for the fact that we'll have lost 2 superiors by the time next turn is done if this goes to plan. But we can be okay with that. And just really hopefully that we don't draw another basic Pokemon either, because that would definitely create a problem. So we see a Shadow Circle, he puts a Dark Energy on his Darkrai and plays a Repeat Ball. So we see a 3rd Breakpoint Darkrai come down. We'll see if he throws that on the bench here, and he does. And plays a Professor Sycamore, so we're going to see Lysander and Switch go into the discard pile. So he did have the Lysander, but he didn't have a way to take advantage of it. Another Baby Yveltal, Oblivion Wing goes onto the bench. And another forfeit. Oh, man. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and try this again. Okay, so we'll go here again. And if you're wondering why I did include those last 2 games, it is because despite the fact that our opponent scooped, we did get our board set up to a point where we were pretty much in control. So it would have taken a bit, you know, definitely some things would have had to happen, I think, for us to lose any control or very much control in either one of those games. But, you know, again, we just kind of had everything set up and stuff in hand and ready to go in both situations. So definitely looking to try to do that again here. And we get a decent hand. We do get a Shaman as a starting Pokemon, which definitely not exactly what we would prefer to start with here. But we'll see if we can make something happen here. So we've got 2 Water Energies in hand, which sucks. But we do have an Ultra Ball. We can get the Jirachi with that. We can discard a Water Energy here, and we can discard either a Shaman or the Acrobike. Now, if we discard the Acrobike, we can bench the Shaman and simply not use it, which is, even though it would run us out of Shamans for the game, it does give us the Sure Thing, which is probably the better option here. So we're going to go ahead and dump a Blastoise, a Gyarados, and an Egg, and we're going to double check for both Jirachi and Archie, which are both right there. So we can do that, and then we can go ahead. We got to let go of one of these energies. And the reason I'm dumping the Acrobike is because that could put a situation where we could draw into 2 cards that we absolutely cannot use, and put us in a situation where we would be unable to Archie without having to rely on some luck from Shaman's draw. And that's not what we want to do. So we're going to go ahead and do a Jirachi search here. All 6 supporters in the deck is interesting. We'll go ahead and grab Archie's Ace in the Hole. And we can attach an energy here. And we'll go ahead and give it the pouch as well. And we are going to draw 0 cards with Shaman. So that we can Archie's Ace in the Hole, bring Blastoise into play, and draw a fresh hand of 5 cards. And we're going to get a pretty solid hand there. We can propagate that other Execute right back and use Ultra Ball to go fetch something else. And I still don't know what we're playing against, so I'm not too eager to go and grab a 2-prizer here. Can take a look at what we got. Actually, what do we have? 1 energy in there. Okay. So I think I'm going to go ahead here in this case and... yeah, I think, well, you know what, we got an awful lot of those. We got Sycamore handy. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Suicune here. So we can go ahead and throw that down. And we can Delusion Energy onto Jirachi here. So then we'll, or I mean Shaman here, I'm sorry. So then we'll be able to do a Sky Return here soon. And of course, if it does just get knocked out, granted we would yield 2 prize cards, but we would also... in that situation, then gain at least our 2 energies back. Now, we also could have retreated and brought the Suicune up for an easy 1 prize. The way I'm kind of looking at this here, we're going to get to Superior Energy Retrieval if we need to next turn, even if it's just for 1 energy before playing that Sycamore. And then we could always Sky Return to maintain an energy pouch, a couple energies and a Shaman next turn, should that come down to be the situation. So we see Skyla played for a level ball, so it looks like it's going to be a little slower start here. So he's going to play the level ball, or I'm sorry, Shaman Chen. So we're going to see a Magnemite. Okay, so we're going to see basically the electric version of Blastoise here, only through a Rare Candy engine. So Magnemite comes down. And as long as this Pokemon is active, its retreat is... okay, so if he has another Magnemite, or if she has another Magnemite on the bench, then it has free retreat. Okay, that's whatever. It's what, 60 HP? Yeah. We see an Ultra Ball now. We're going to see 2 Lightning Energies go into the Sinkhole, or the discard pile, whatever you want to call it. The ditch, the graveyard, I guess. The cemetery. Call it whatever you want. The face-up stack. Okay, so Raichu comes down. Now that could make things interesting because Raichu only yields 1 prize card, whereas Keldeo obviously yields 2. But we're going to hopefully be able to capitalize here with 2 prizes off of Shaman. Or I mean off of Jirachi, I'm sorry. Getting everything confused here now. So we get a Float Stone that we can lay down. I guess we'll put it on the Blastoise. And we can go ahead and propagate a pair of eggs for a mere 1 energy card, because that's still better than 0. Might as well use that resource while we got it. So we will propagate twice and Superior for a single energy card, and we'll take a look at the rest of this. Okay. So we'll get that 1 energy back, go ahead and throw that on Suicune, and draw 7 fresh cards. And, alright, well I guess it's going to depend on what we get here. We get like a compressor or something. Nope. We got a VS Seeker. I'm not really in need of anything there. Let's try again. Alright, there we go. We got a compressor that time. So that can give us some options, but I think we are going to go ahead and probably use the Sky Return here. I'm going to dump the Blastoise out of there while we're at it. And we will do this just in case of a Hex Maniac, since we're going to Sky Return right into Suicune here. We can bounce and get some stuff back there, and then this guy can come up. Now, if we had N, which maybe we should have compressed to try and preserve these superiors, maybe we could do something there, but who knows? If we Ultra Ball our hand size down a little bit, maybe we'll be able to try to do something with that Shaman that we just bounced back to our hand. So we see another Magnemite come down, another Skyla, so I'm guessing he's going for the Rare Candy or the Search Ball here. And so he's going for the Rare Candy, so that means he's probably got Magnezone or Shaman in his hand. I would think you'd probably, if it was Shaman, he would have played it first, so I'm guessing Magnezone is there. And that's what we're going to see. So, Rare Candy's going to come down in Magnezone, but since he played Skyla, he doesn't have another supporter for the turn, so we're going to draw an Ultra Ball here. Get a pretty nice setup, and so we can just attach another energy with Deluge onto Articuno here. We really don't need to do much of anything else. We don't have Lysander or anything right now. I don't really think it's necessary to go and dig for it if we don't need it. We can definitely attach this energy pouch to Suicune here. And I think we're just going to hold our resources and do an Aurora Beam here. Go ahead and deal 110 damage, knock out Jirachi for 2 prize cards, and hope that he doesn't have, you know, something to dig his way out. But we've got a pretty good setup, and we could easily clean this entire hand out, I feel like, to bring out Gyarados if we really wanted to. We got plenty of ways to discard stuff. And the thing is, it doesn't matter how many energies are gone in this case, because unlike the situation with getting Blastoise out where you can only drop one, when we're going for Gyarados, we can just get them all and throw them on something, and then bring Gyarados out. I guess the one flaw being the fact that we don't really have the superiors left in deck to make more use of that. But anyway, we see our opponent play a Clement and grab 4 lightning energies out of the deck. So we're going to see this Raikou get absolutely loaded. And Gyarados is also weak to lightning. So maybe, when I think about that, it's probably better that we don't use him. Because even though he's got more HP, it's not going to seem like it in this matchup. So we'll probably just Ultra Ball for a Keldeo here instead. Because Magnezone is going to load up this Raikou, and Thunder Lance is going to hit us for 150. That's going to be a knockout, but we're going to get all our energy back. And he doesn't have a Fighting Fury Belt, so we're only going to need 5 energies to knock that thing out on a Keldeo, which is exactly what we got. Won't even have to burn a Superior. And we draw another energy pouch as well. So we'll go ahead and do the double propagation here and just sit on this big hand that we've got. Another thing we could try to do if we wanted to is bring out another Blastoise, but I think I'm content just leaving the one, and okay, the other one's prized anyway. So I think I'm content just kind of leaving the one Blastoise, unless the other one's in here. Yeah, it is. Okay, my bad. And we can always bring another one out should we need to. So we can just go ahead and deluge 5 energies onto this thing. And again, if he doesn't have a draw supporter sitting in his hand from either before or that, whatever he drew off the prizes, then there's not really much else he's going to be able to work with right now. We can throw an energy pouch there, free retreat our Blastoise, and just secret sword that Raikou off the board. And it's only 1 prize card, but it does take 5 energy away. And he does not have executes in his discard pile the way we do. So he's going to need to hit a Battle Compressor if he wants to do that. So Magnemite comes up, and this is where we might be able to even go for Jirachi number 2 with Ultra Ball and try to Lysander up Magnezone if he can't set up another attacker here. And at that point, we would be in complete control. So instead, he plays a Computer Search. This card's a Lightning Energy and a Rare Candy, but that is now 8 Lightning Energies in his discard, so he's going to have to hit a Superior to charge up an attacker here, and it's only going to get him 4 energy, which means he's probably going to need Pikachu EX or maybe like a Mewtwo or a Lugia, something that can hit based on the number of energy it has that can do more than the Raikou can, because the Raikou is only going to deal 130 with those 4 energies. He could also opt for a Shaman here. Instead, he plays a Juniper. So we're going to see 7 cards. Let's see what he chooses to do here. And you just see the raw power of that energy pouch, even though we had the Superior in hand, not having to use it, being able to sit on all of these cards in our hand. So he plays an Ultra Ball, discards a Magnemite and a Magnezone. Now he's going to need another Magnemite, or else he's going to have to use an energy to pay the retreat. And I say that as a big deal because I don't think he has that many energy left in deck, maybe 1 or 2. Because this deck probably can't fit as many energies in it as Archie's can, mainly just because of its reliance on Rare Candy and having to run a full line of attackers. But nonetheless, he does pull 2 more energy from the deck with Professor's Letter. So that's at least 10, so he's doing pretty well there. Maybe he's going to prove me wrong. We're going to see Magnezone use Magnetic Circuit, the electric equivalent to Deluge. And that's going to drop some energy on that Raichu on the bench. But he needs to get it up to 6 energy, so a superior energy retrieval would do the trick. But would also drain his entire hand. So that's something worth noting here. So he's going to attach one from his hand. And I'm not really sure what else. Maybe a regular energy retrieval. So he attaches a 4th one, but passes the turn. Yikes. And so here's where we can go for basically the Jugular Vein. We can Propagation twice here, Ultra Ball, and unless I just forgot to check my prize cards because we don't run Town Map anymore, and that Jirachi's in the prizes, we should be able to pretty much put this one away here. There's Jirachi, and I know Lysander, pretty sure, yeah, because all of our supporters were in deck. So we can just go ahead and grab the Jirachi, put it down, and how good would that Parallel City look right about now? We'll just go ahead and Lysander up the Raichu. And we don't even need to attach another energy. We can just Secret Sword here. We're already doing enough. Get that attacker off the board. And again, if he fails to set up an attacker again next turn, which looks like he didn't have anything in hand, so just goes ahead and forfeits the game. We would have been able to take out Magnezone. So you can just kind of see there, I think, off of those 3 games, just even if our opponents forfeit up early, you can see just kind of how we were able to set up and just really focus on the big threats there. And if the Magnezone really only becomes the primary target, then if there's not a already viable attacker threatening us there. So that is Archie's Blastoise with Energy Pouch. And that game we really got to see the power of Energy Pouch, you know, and even if we weren't going against a super meta deck, just kind of seeing what this can do, especially when you go first. And if you go second, if you get Getsist, you know, maybe you have... A lot of times we'll end up with a situation where we'll draw into something useful because we have so many resources that can help us, or we simply have a Shaymin EX that we can go off of in our hand. So really just so many resources that we can work with. And I think this deck is a stronger pick for Week 3 than it has been in any regional since back in the fall. Because not only has Energy Pouch made it relevant, but a lot more decks have tended to drop Hex Maniac as of lately. So with that being a thing, I definitely think that Archie's Blastoise can make a comeback. So anyway, I will be in Kansas City this weekend for regionals. If you're gonna be there, feel free to come say hi. I look forward to seeing any of you guys there. So best of luck to everyone competing in Week 3 regionals, and that's all I got for you guys now. Hope to see you tomorrow. Cheers.